It was just before midnight when I entered the warehouse. My name is Mark Thompson, and I'm 30 years old. I work here at night as a security guard with my dog, Rex. This warehouse is on the edge of a small town. It's big and old, and it's not very bright inside, so there are long, creepy shadows everywhere. But Rex and I aren't scared of that. I work at night because it pays more, and I need the money for my family. We settled into the small security office, getting ready for another night. My job is to watch the security cameras, do some paperwork, and make sure everything is safe until morning. It's usually just me and Rex, and we like it that way. It's quiet, and I can think about what I want to do in the future. But I didn't know that tonight was going to be different from all the other nights. I started my work routine like I always do. First, I check the security cameras. I do this every hour to make sure everything's okay in the warehouse. The cameras show me all the different places inside, so I don't have to walk around the whole building all the time. After checking the cameras, Rex and I walked around the warehouse. I made sure all the doors and gates were locked tight. Rex is good at listening for strange noises. If he hears something odd, like a bang or creak, I would stop and listen carefully. Most of the time, it was just the building making noise, but I always checked to be sure. Rex was brave and always ready to help, which made me feel brave too. It was when we got back to the security station that I noticed it for the first time. While I was looking at the security camera screens, I saw something weird. There was a blurry shape that popped up on one of the screens and then vanished. I squinted, trying really hard to figure out what it was. Could it be just the lights playing tricks, or was it something else? I kept switching between the different camera views, really focusing. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't understand what that strange shape was. It made me feel more and more worried. Just when I was trying to figure out this confusing video, Rex suddenly perked up his ears. He ran out of the office, barking super loud. It caught me off guard, and I quickly grabbed my flashlight to follow him into the dark warehouse. I followed the sound of his barking through the aisles, but suddenly, the barking just stopped. I called out, "Rex! Rex!" but he didn't answer. My voice just echoed around the big empty warehouse. I looked everywhere, but I couldn't find Rex at all. Feeling really worried and confused, I ran back to the security office. I hoped I could find Rex on the camera screens. But when I looked at them carefully, I realized something strange. The videos weren't live. They were old videos of the warehouse. Someone had messed with the security cameras. I felt a cold chill. Not only could I not find Rex, but I also knew that the security system, which I thought was protecting us, wasn't working right. Why would someone change the camera footage? And how? It seemed like someone was playing a trick on me, but I didn't know why. I felt a little relieved that there wasn't really a weird shape in the warehouse, but also more scared. Someone had done a lot of work to make this happen, and I didn't know who or why. Then, things got even stranger. I heard a truck engine outside the warehouse. That wasn't supposed to happen. There were no deliveries or pickups at this time. I felt my heart race, thinking this could be something big. I moved quietly towards the noise. When I looked around a corner, I saw two people putting boxes into a truck. They were stealing stuff. I couldn't believe it. While I was busy with the strange camera footage, these thieves were here, robbing the place. Then I realized the thieves must have messed with the cameras to keep me busy. They planned this, using the fake footage to trick me while they stole things. What if they did something to Rex? I felt mad and scared. I had been fooled, and now I needed to act. I knew I had to stop them. It was risky, but I couldn't let them just take things. I stepped back to the desk and pressed the panic button. I was sure I was going to need backup. I took a deep breath and came out of hiding, yelling, "Hey!" The thieves were shocked. They stopped and looked at me. One of them had something in his hand, maybe a crowbar. I knew I was in big trouble. The one with the crowbar stepped closer, and I could see he meant business. He said in a harsh voice, "Don't try anything or you'll be sorry." I could tell he wasn't joking. My heart was pounding so hard I thought they could hear it. They moved quickly, grabbing me, I tried to get away, but they were too strong. They dragged me outside and threw me into the big recycling bin. It was dark and smelly, and they slammed the lid shut. I heard them lock it from the outside. I was trapped, and it was really scary. I could barely move or see anything. I felt really helpless and worried about what would happen next. Just then, I heard the subtle cry. It was Rex. "Rex, buddy, you're okay!" I yelled as I heard the sound of the truck driving away. The thieves were getting away with everything, and I couldn't do anything about it. I tried to call for help, but nobody could hear me. It felt like we were in there forever, but it must have been only half an hour or so before the police arrived. I heard voices outside and the sound of the bin being opened. The fresh air felt so good. The police helped me and Rex out. They looked around, but the thieves were long gone. My boss showed up, and he was both upset about the robbery and relieved that I was okay. He said it could have been much worse. I felt a rush of different emotions. I was shaking a bit, trying to take deep breaths to calm down. My boss and I both looked around the warehouse while the police gave Rex some water and something to eat. It was a mess, and a lot of stuff was gone. My boss was upset about the theft, his hands on his head, looking at all the empty spaces where things used to be. He kept saying things like, "How could this happen?" and "What are we going to do now?" I felt really bad too. I thought maybe I could have done something more to stop the thieves. But then, my boss turned to me and said, "You know, stuff can be replaced, but you can't. I'm just glad you're safe." That made me feel a little better. He was right. It was just things that were stolen, but I was still here, and that was what mattered most. We talked to the police for a while, telling them everything that happened. After the police left, my boss and I sat down. We were both quiet for a bit. Then we started talking about what we could learn from this. My boss said we needed better security, like more cameras or an alarm system. I agreed. I said maybe we could also have more than one person on duty at night. The whole experience was really scary, but it taught me a lot. I learned that it's important to be careful and to not take risks when you're in danger. My boss learned that we needed to make the warehouse safer. We both felt a mix of being sad about the robbery and thankful that nobody was hurt. It was a night we wouldn't forget. It showed us that even when bad things happen, you can learn from them and make things better for next time. Hi there, I'm Alex. I guess you could call me a night owl. Working late at the office is kind of my thing. By day, I'm just another data analyst at a big tech company, crunching numbers, attending meetings, you know, the usual. But at night, when everyone else is gone, that's when my real work begins. I'm saving every penny for my dream, my own tech startup. The office at night is a whole different world. It's just me, my computer, and the quiet hum of the servers. I love the peace, the way I can hear my own thoughts without the hustle and bustle of the daytime crowd. Sometimes I even prefer it to my tiny cluttered apartment. But, let's be honest, it can get a bit eerie. You know, dark corners, the odd creak of an empty chair, the occasional flicker of a light, it's all part of the late-night charm. But this particular night, something was different. It wasn't just the usual quiet. It felt heavier, like there was something in the air. I tried to brush it off, keep my eyes on my screens, focus on my work. I'm used to the little sounds of the building at night, but then, out of nowhere, I heard it. A scream. Distant, muffled, but unmistakable. So there I was, alone, in this big, silent office with a decision to make. Do I go check it out? Do I just pack up and head home, pretend like I didn't hear anything? I had no idea that the choice I was about to make would change everything. I sat there for a minute, my mind racing. It's probably nothing, I told myself. Maybe it was the wind. Buildings like this, they make all sorts of sounds at night. But then, another noise. This time, it wasn't a scream. It was different, like something moving around upstairs. I tried to focus, tried to make sense of it. It sounded like someone or something was up there. I knew I had a choice to make. Be smart, stay safe, just keep working, and forget about it. or go see what it was. I'm not usually the adventurous type, but something inside me just couldn't let it go. What if someone needed help? What if it was serious? I couldn't just sit there and do nothing. So, I made up my mind. I'd take a quick look, just to put my mind at ease. I stood up, my chair squeaking loudly in the silent office. It sounded like the loudest noise in the world at that moment. I grabbed my phone, just in case I needed to call for help, and headed towards the stairwell. The office felt different as I walked through it. The corridor seemed narrower. Every sound was amplified. My footsteps on the carpet, the soft hum of the computers, my own breathing. It was like the office was holding its breath, waiting to see what I would do. I reached the stairwell, flicked on the light, and started up the stairs. The light was creepy, casting long shadows on the steps. My footsteps echoed in the empty stairwell, each step sounding louder and louder. It was kind of spooky, the kind of feeling you get when you're not sure if you're alone or not. As I got closer to the upper floor, the noises became clearer. It definitely sounded like someone was moving around. Not just random sounds, but purposeful, like footsteps, maybe some shuffling. My heart was pounding in my chest. I was scared, sure, but also curious. What was going on up there? As I reached the top of the stairs, my heart was beating so loud I thought it might burst. I peeked around the corner, and that's when I saw it. There was a guy, a burglar, loading computers and stuff onto a cart. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This was real. This was actually happening. Then I noticed something even more shocking. In the break room, there was a woman, tied up, looking scared and helpless. My mind was racing. What do I do? I've never been in a situation like this. I'm just a data analyst, not some action hero. I knew I had to do something. I crept back down the stairs, my hands shaking. I needed to call for help. I pulled out my phone, but in my panic, I fumbled and dropped it. It clattered down the stairwell. Gone. My heart sank. Now what? I raced back to my desk, trying to be as quiet as I could. I picked up the desk phone and dialed 911, whispering into the receiver about the burglar and the woman upstairs. Then I called down to the security desk, telling the guard there was trouble on the 11th floor. But I couldn't just wait there. I had to go back up. The woman needed help. I tiptoed back up the stairs, my heart pounding in my ears. I reached the break room and saw her there, tied to a chair. I signed for her to be quiet. She looked so scared. I whispered to her that I was going to help, that I had called the police. I started to untie her, my fingers clumsy with nerves. We were almost free when it happened. We knocked over a mug on the table. It crashed to the floor, shattering. The noise seemed deafening. I froze. The burglar, he heard it. I could hear him stop what he was doing. He was coming to check. My mind was a blur of fear and panic. We were in real danger now. The burglar was coming, and the police weren't here yet. What were we going to do? Our hearts pounding like crazy. We were super scared. We could hear these guys walking around searching for us. We could hear them opening doors and moving desks and so on. We were so scared we couldn't move. It felt like it lasted an hour. But then, something amazing happened. We heard police sirens in the distance. I never thought I'd be so happy to hear those sounds. The burglar heard them too. I sneaked a peek and saw him panicking. He realized he was about to get caught. Quickly, he grabbed some of the stuff he was trying to steal and ran towards the emergency stairs. The woman and I were still in the break room, not sure if it was safe to come out yet. We could hear his footsteps thundering down the stairs, and then the sound of the police entering the building. They sounded strong and in control. I helped the woman to her feet. She was still shaking, but she was okay. We cautiously stepped into the hallway, just as the police were making their way up. They told us to stay put. Seeing them was such a relief. The police took over from there. They asked us a few questions to make sure we were okay. Downstairs, we could hear more officers arriving and lots of commotion. They were chasing after the burglar. Eventually, they escorted us downstairs, away from all the chaos. The office felt safer now, the fear was gone, but my heart was still doing somersaults. It was so hard to believe. I came to the office for a normal night of work and ended up in the middle of a real-life crime story. Wow, what a night. As I sat there, outside the office building, the sun was starting to come up. It was so quiet, just like when I first came into work. But everything felt different now. I was different. I kept thinking about what had just happened. I mean, I'm just Alex, the guy who likes numbers and dreams about starting his own company. I never thought I'd be in the middle of something like this. It was scary, sure. But you know what? I was brave. I helped someone. That felt really good. The police, they were awesome. They caught the burglar, and the woman was safe. The officer said I did a good thing being brave and calling them. I guess sometimes you have to face scary things. You can't just run away or pretend it's not happening. Sitting there, watching the sky get brighter, I realized something. Life's not just about work and making money. It's about moments like these, where you find out what you're really made of. I learned I could be brave, even when I was scared. That's something I'll never forget. So, yeah, this was just another night at the office, but it turned into a night I'll always remember. It taught me a lot about myself. And you know what? I think I'm ready for whatever comes next. My name's Jason. I'm 29, and life hasn't been too kind lately. I used to have a regular day job, but I lost it. Now I work nights at this highway toll booth they call Milestone 13. It's way out here, far from the city lights, surrounded by thick woods that look almost like a dark ocean at night. I took this job to help my mom. She's sick and needs a lot of care, and the bills, well, they just don't stop coming. I'm not much of a talker, and I guess that's why I don't mind the quiet of the night shift. There's something about the stillness and the routine of it all that makes me feel a bit more at ease, even if it's just for a while. Milestone 13 isn't like your regular toll booth. During the day, it's just a normal spot on the highway, but at night, it's different. The booth itself is brightly lit, like a little island in a sea of darkness. But the parking lot and everything else around, pitch black. Sometimes when I look out into those woods, I can barely see where the trees start. It's like staring into nothing, and it can give you the creeps if you think about it too long. But I just keep telling myself it's just another night, just another shift. Just me, the booth, and the occasional car passing through. Little did I know, one of these nights would turn out to be anything but ordinary. So there I was, starting another night at Milestone 13. The first thing that felt off was when I was walking through the underpass to get to my booth. I couldn't shake this feeling that someone was watching me. I kept looking over my shoulder, but there was nobody there. It was just me and the echo of my footsteps. It sent a chill down my spine, but I tried to brush it off as just my imagination. Things didn't get any better when the customers started coming through. There was this one guy in a beat-up car. He drove up, didn't look at me, and just mumbled something I couldn't hear. He seemed like he wanted to get out of there fast. Then, not long after, this lady came through. She kept glancing in her rearview mirror, looking all nervous like she was being followed. It was strange, seeing people act like that. But what really got me was when I saw something in the backseat of a car. It was just for a second, but I swear I saw a shadowy figure. When I blinked and looked again, nothing was there. It made my heart race a bit. I told myself I was seeing things because it was late and I was tired. And the woods around the booth didn't help either. I started hearing these weird noises, like scratching sounds and soft whispers. They were coming from the trees. I tried to tell myself it was just animals, or maybe the wind. But deep down, I wasn't so sure. Then there was the phone. It started ringing at random times. Every time I picked it up, ready to speak, there was nothing but silence on the other end. It happened over and over. It would ring, I would answer, and then nothing. It was like someone was playing a game with me. All of this together, it just made the night feel heavier, like something wasn't right. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was going to happen, something bad. Just when I thought the night couldn't get any weirder, it did. Out of nowhere, this huge stone came flying at the booth's glass. Bang! It made such a loud noise that I jumped out of my skin. But thank goodness the glass was bulletproof, so I was safe, at least for that moment. My heart was racing like crazy. Then, I saw them. A bunch of kids, but not just any kids. They were wearing masks and looked really scary. They came out of the woods, holding things like bats and sticks. It hit me right then. They were after the cash in the booth. I couldn't believe this was happening. These masked kids started banging on the glass, trying to break in. The noise was deafening. I felt trapped, like a sitting duck. There I was, in this little booth with nowhere to run, no way to protect myself. Every bang on the glass made my heart pound harder. I didn't know what to do. I never thought something like this would happen at Milestone 13, but it was happening, and I had to figure out fast how to stay safe. The situation was getting scarier by the minute. After trying to smash the glass, one of the masked kids found a can of something. It looked like paint, and they started spraying it all over the booth's windows. In just seconds, the clear glass turned into a foggy mess. I couldn't see anything outside anymore, which made me feel even more trapped and helpless. My booth, once a place I felt safe in, now felt like a cage. Then, the worst thing happened. They started trying to set fire to the booth. I saw flickers of light through the smeared paint. They were using lighters, trying to light up anything they could find. My heart was beating out of my chest. I was thinking, this is it. I'm in serious trouble. The thought of being trapped in a burning booth was terrifying. I tried to keep calm, but it was hard. I needed help, and fast, but I didn't know how it would come. Just when I was thinking it was the end for me, something amazing happened. Remember the guy with the beat-up car? He was one of the customers who passed through my booth earlier that night. He had seen those masked youths hiding in the bushes and felt something wasn't right. So he decided to stick around, parking his car a little ways off, keeping an eye on things. Suddenly, there he was, in his car, honking the horn like crazy and flashing his headlights. It was like a scene from a movie. The kids, startled by the noise and the lights, stopped what they were doing. I could see their shadows moving around, confused and scared. But he didn't stop there. He had already called the highway patrol. And soon enough, I heard the sound that I never thought would be so sweet. The sirens of the approaching patrol cars. The sound got louder and louder, and as it did, the youth started to run away, disappearing into the woods. I was left there, in my booth, still shaking from all that had happened. The officers arrived, and I was safe, finally. The guy in the car came over to check if I was okay. I couldn't thank him enough. He was like a guardian angel or something. If it wasn't for him, I don't know what would have happened to me. I was scared, yeah, but I was safe, and that's what mattered most. After everything calmed down, the highway patrol drove me to the police station where they started asking me a bunch of questions. I told them all that had happened, still trying to get my head around it. I was feeling a lot of things, scared, shocked, but most of all, thankful. Thankful for the customer and his quick thinking. It made me realize just how vulnerable I was out there in my little booth at night. But at the same time, it showed me how people can be so brave and kind. It's funny in a way. I always liked the night for its quiet and calm. But that night I saw a different side of it. Its dangers and surprises. But you know what? It also showed me something else. How regular folks can be heroes and save the day. So, what did I do after all that? I kept working the night shift. Yeah, you heard that right. I didn't let that scary night stop me. It made me more careful, sure, but it also made me braver. I found strength in myself that I didn't know I had, and I started to see the world a bit differently, knowing there's always a chance for kindness and courage to show up, even in the most unexpected places and people. So, I kept on working at Milestone 13, night after night, ready for whatever came next.